Thank you very much, Presiding Officer, and can I congratulate my colleague Chick Brodie on securing this debate. And listening to Christian Allard's speech when he was speaking about media depictions of female lorry drivers, I was struck while thinking about this debate and thinking about the issue around female lorry drivers growing up watching the cartoon Pigeon Street, where one of the main characters was a female long-distance lorry driver called Clara. So perhaps what we need is more media depictions of female drivers to encourage more women to consider that it is a career choice that is viable and open to them. And more broadly, I think what we need to do is we need to ensure that where there are media portrayals in relation to the haulage industry, that they are positive media portrayals, because we know that in the past there have been some issues around negative portrayals and the impact that that can have on attracting people into the industry. Now, I want to cover a couple of specific areas in this debate. And the first is that is around opportunities that can arise from difficulties in sectors. We know that the haulage industry is currently going through difficulties, and I believe that it requires somewhere in the region of 1,500 drivers a year for the next 10 years in order to try and bridge the gap in terms of the skill shortages that have been identified. In my own area and in Christian Allard's area, the oil and gas industry is currently experiencing a downturn with large numbers of individuals facing potential redundancy. In light of representations that have been made to me by haulage companies in my constituency, most notably I had a meeting with Jason Moyer of Dice Carriers and Bill Walker of William Walker Transport based in my constituency, and in light of the discussions I've had with them, coupled with the issues facing the offshore sector, I've written to the First Minister and asked whether the Road Haulage Association should be considered for involvement within the Energy Jobs Task Force. I believe that first and foremost our efforts should be to prevent redundancy within the offshore sector wherever possible, but I believe also that if there are going to be redundancies taking place, we should look at whether there are opportunities that can arise as a result of that, which organisations like the RHA and the haulage industry could potentially capitalise upon in terms of people potentially reskilling and retraining. And that brings me on to the point around training, and I welcome the response I received from the Cabinet Secretary, Rosanna Cunningham, when she wrote to me to advise that where small businesses can apply for up to £5,000 towards employee training costs, but also that this would refund up to 50% of each employee training up to a maximum of £500. The difficulty that's being faced by a lot of haulage industry firms is that in order for individuals to obtain employment, they need to have undertaken that training and passed their HGV tests prior to becoming employed by those companies. So I think what we need to do, and it's an issue not just for the Scottish Government but the UK Government as well, is we need to look at what support can be put in place where possible to support individuals, particularly individuals who are looking to reskill from another career to enter into the haulage industry, if there is support that can be provided to enable them to do so. Because £3,000 to cover training is not an unsubstantial sum of money, particularly if an individual has either faced a redundancy or is looking to move from one career into another. That brings me to the point around the insurance point that I raised in the debate, and I think that the insurance firms absolutely have to be part of this conversation. If an individual is qualified as an HGV driver, it shouldn't matter whether they're 21 or 31. There shouldn't be age-based discrimination in relation to insurance. If an individual has undertaken the required qualifications but run the risk of potentially losing out on a position because it would cost more for the company to provide insurance for them, then that is something I think that needs to be addressed. So I welcome the debate being brought by Chick Brodie. I welcome the action that he's highlighted that is taking place. I think there's more that perhaps needs to be done in terms of some organisations who need to be brought into the bigger tent around the discussion, but I'm positive that there are opportunities out there. It's a question of whether they can be capitalised upon.